Manchester United, Liverpool. The classic, right? We all go home, put our feet up, wait to enjoy a real old tussle of two rivalries on and off the pitch, of two teams evenly matched who are going to go head-to-head. Use the hashtag, the headline makers. Is this the worst Manchester United team up against the Liverpool team you have ever seen? Looking at these two sides, Melissa, poor old Manchester United going into this one, no chance, right?
I don't think Liverpool will be thinking that. I think they'll be guarding against that kind of attitude. And they'll have first-hand knowledge because last season they went to Old Trafford with United having an injury crisis ahead of the game and then in the first half suffering more setbacks. And yet Liverpool had a safety-first approach because they had points to play with at that time over Man City and thought, let's not lose this game. And I think that will actually be one of the marks against United heading into the weekend because Liverpool won't make that mistake again, I'm sure. I think they really misstepped last season. I mean, to get 97 points and not win the league means you've done hardly anything wrong. But their approach in that game was one of the crosses of last season, and they won't be looking to repeat that. I think also the fact that United have become so hinged on counter-attacking football and have struggled to build anything else of any shape or form, while Liverpool have been able to show so many different faces already, you know, from last season, but also at the start of this season, means Jurgen Klopp's side will be better equipped on Sunday.
I mean, there was a diplomatic towing of the line there, whereas I was just trying to wind things up. Because this, for Manchester United fans, when Liverpool are coming to Old Trafford, normally they would be salivating, thinking, you know, this is our home, you come here, this is where we start to perform. Do you get the sense of that United this season?
It's funny because even as United's performances seemingly get worse and worse, you know, it's almost like that there's a sense of resignation rather than a sense of anger and outrage. I try to put myself in Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's shoes and I say, you know what, this is an opportunity. This is an opportunity to jumpstart things. You know, these are the guys who we knocked off the perch famously. And make sure I introduced that in my pre-game team talk. And you know what? I mean, Melissa's absolutely right in the sense that, you know, Liverpool perhaps too cautious when they went there last year. But I would also say, you know what, Liverpool, you want to come here? You want to come here into our house, into Old Trafford? You want to take the game to us, play your little 1-2s and stuff in the box? Bring it on. Because if there's one area where United aren't terrible this year, it's defensively. They can generally put a lot of big bodies back there and go and congest areas. And if there's one thing that they can do, as Melissa said, is they can play in transition and they can counter, and we can see how much Van Dijk and Matip enjoy dealing with Rashford or whomever in the open spaces. And look, I know I am grasping at straws here to try to make this into a game, but I think there's something to be said for that. And equally the fact that I don't think Liverpool have played great in the last couple of games. You know, whether it's, I wasn't that impressed against Leicester. And in the end, when you break down the results, you realize the fine margins, right? Albrighton getting himself in trouble and then Mane falling over in the box. Dean Henderson, you know, chucking it into his own net. You know, these things can happen. So you can sell that narrative that if Liverpool really go there with a buccaneering style, I think United will be very, very comfortable with that.
I want to see that United.
Or as comfortable as this United team can be right now. Okay?
But this is an opportunity, though, right? This is that point where they should stand up and say, you are coming to our house.
The team will feed off the fans, and the fans will be defiant at Old Trafford. The opening minutes will be antagonistic. In fact, the whole warm-up and all that stuff, their fans will be up for it because no matter where they are in the table, this is the fixture. In English football, and not so long ago, Liverpool were where Manchester United are in a sense of not going to be challenging for the title, you know, just there and thereabouts. But Liverpool would go into that fixture and, you know, Danny Murphy's winners and all that stuff. So often it doesn't matter about your form. It doesn't matter if you're the dominant force or not, because this is just such a, like I use the word antagonistic, it's a fixture that neither side wants to lose. And if United have any sort of fight or resistance and stuff left in them, you expect to see it on Sunday, because this fixture should bring out the best of them. Also, Liverpool will have possession, so it does give them the opportunity to use their, I want to say their major strength, but actually particularly their only strength at the moment, which is the counter.
Well, unless Klopp decides, hey, maybe this is actually a game where we manage our 8-point lead. They'll already know the City result, obviously. What if City drop points at Palace? Does that change it? Do you then maybe go a little more cautious? You start thinking about Mane and Salah on the counterattack?
Oh, he won't do that.
I don't think they make the same mistake as last season. Last season they went to protect the cushion they had over City, with the mindset that City cannot end the campaign faultless. And what did City do? They ended it faultless. And to lose the league on 1 point means every lesson you learned last season, you enact it in this. So I cannot see them being risk averse if they feel United are there for the taking.
Attack, attack, attack. That's what we want to see, isn't it, from a Liverpool-Manchester United game? Let's get another viewpoint on this, shall we? Time to go global for the first time and see how this game's being anticipated in Central America. Julio Hernandez joins us from Sky Sports Mexico. Julio, give me some optimism for Manchester United fans then, because I don't sense much of it in the studio here. Hello, by the way.
Hi guys, let's just start by saying that Liverpool hasn't won a Premier League game at Old Trafford since 2014 when they won 3-0. Right now the stakes are high because the Reds are on the verge of tying the Manchester City record for straight wins on Premier League with 18, so I don't think they're gonna release the rhythm they have. Some of the players have rested because of the FIFA break. And I think, having learned from the experience of past season where they held a 10-point lead in December and they eventually lost the title to the Manchester City, I think has had a big impact on them. So I don't see the Reds going slow against Manchester United side that has going from the top to the bottom. After they won 4-0 to Chelsea on the first match day, they have not showed the same intensity in many levels. Their defense has not been as bad as last year, but their offense isn't working. I think Marcus Rashford might be fired up after scoring with England against Bulgaria. But the real question is, can Harry Maguire and company stop the trio of attackers with Sadio Mane and Mohamed Salah, Roberto Firmino, who have been very productive in the last weeks?
Julio, who do you think benefited more from this international break? Solskjaer or Klopp?
I think that Klopp might get a rest because the pressure was going up after all these wins, winning 8 out of 8 to start the season. If you add the 9 last games they won last year, so they are almost ready to tie and probably break next week against Tottenham, that record that just a couple of years ago was unthinkable of. I think there's less pressure on the Jurgen Klopp side after this break. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer maybe had time to work things out. United has a lot of problems right now, but I think they can solve just a little bit of them, and it's going to be a very tough game against Liverpool.
Julio, I'm just looking at some of the comments coming in using the hashtag the headline makers, talking about whether Solskjaer's under pressure or not. A lot of United fans saying just ride it out until January. Do you see enough from Solskjaer, though, that if he was to get to January, that he'd be able to bring in the right type of players that will keep this United side propelled towards the top of the table?
There's a lot of games still to be played. There are 30 match days ahead of them. I don't think anyone can resist a lot of pressure. The results are what makes a difference in these games and these times. And I think probably Manchester United had a slight chance. Just let's remember what happened a couple of years ago when they were playing the derby against City, and the Pep Guardiola side needed to win to get the title, and after being down 2-0, they came back with a great performance from Paul Pogba, another goal from Chris Smalling, and they won, and eventually they did not let their biggest rivals, or one of their biggest rivals, to win the title against them. Probably this case can be the same. They have no pressure. Liverpool is the team that is expected to win. They have all the pressure on them, not just because that 8-point lead that they have right now over Manchester City, but because what recent history has taught us, they are the Champions League reigning team, and they have been on fire in these first 2 months of the season.
Absolutely, and pressure can do funny things. Julio, thank you so much for coming on the show. Julio Hernandez then from Sky Sports Mexico. Those comments I mentioned, using the hashtag the headline makers, United, as weak as we are, still can't be beaten by Liverpool. United love, says Kwaku. This one says Manchester United have been written off, but this game is suited to them. Liverpool will have all the confidence, the ball, and the counter-attacking game will prevail, says Kwatsu. That idea of pressure and confidence, and it's Old Trafford, who comes to beat us here? The one little caveat to all of this, of course, is United have suffered with injuries, expecting a few players back, maybe a better balance to this team.
If they come back and they're in condition. I think one of my biggest indictments against Solskjaer is that, and Melissa hit this on the nail on the head, how do United score? Okay, so they score in transition. Maybe they get a set piece, and you got Maguire's big head and stuff, and you get it in. Otherwise, the only other way they score is if Paul Pogba invents something out of nothing. But for him to do that, he has to actually be there. And if they go and play somebody who parks the bus, it is beating your head against the wall over and over again. And to me, that's where Solskjaer he's certainly disappointed me. I would have thought, all right, come up, forget the players and the signings, and maybe it's not your fault. Maybe we can go and, scapegoat Ed Woodward again, since he's a convenient scapegoat for everything. But what are you doing with the players you have? What is the way of playing? Where are you going to? You choose a right back, and Wan-Bissaka's fantastic defensively. He's not going to give you the same attacking output that Shaw does. So are you adjusting things? Are you maybe going a little bit asymmetrical? Does your back four turn into a back three sometimes with somebody coming back on the other flank, and you create mismatches? All these basic bread and butter things that you would expect the manager to do, but he doesn't do it. He has two creative players, Mata and Pogba. One of them is injured and might be coming back. The other one is old. What are you doing for this? How are you, you expect more. I know it's a tough job.
No,
but you're the Manchester United manager. You're not the manager of Joe Schmo. It's supposed to be difficult. That's why you get paid a lot of money. That's why you have the 6-year contract.
I'm still living off the tactic of the big head. I mean, maybe that's just from Harry Maguire. That's going to win. But every week at the moment, we are saying Manchester United, doom and gloom, Manchester United. Should we pay a little bit of love to Liverpool before we move on from this one? Maybe a selection dilemma for Klopp in goal, possibly, this weekend?
Yeah, you'd expect Alisson to be fit, because this was his slated comeback after the international break. But Liverpool have the luxury now of not having to rush him. If they feel that by the end of this week he is not at 100% yes in terms of sharpness and stuff, they have no problem continuing with Adrian, because he's been excellent. He had that 14-day period when he first joined where it was so chaotic because he got thrown in.
Kid in the sweet shop.
Yeah, without many sessions, no understanding with the team, and was straight into Premier League fixtures, then had the Super Cup. And it was only after that, during the September break, where they had time to work on everything, distribution, set piece, defensively, that you could then tell after that break how much it benefited him having time on the training pitch. He has been absolutely superb. The drop-off hasn't been big, but Alisson, over the course of the year, was the best goalkeeper in the world, and so if he is fit, he will start.
Either of you want to hazard a guess at where this goes?
In terms of result,
Yeah.
logic suggests that at some point Liverpool are going to
Football's not
points,
logical.
right? Exactly.
Logic would suggest that a run at Old Trafford where they haven't won also needs to come to an end.
This is true. This is true. I'm going to go with a draw on this one. I actually think that Melissa knows Jurgen Klopp better than I do, but I just think, and maybe it's Italian in me, but I say, you know what? You're in the ascendancy. Don't play it. Don't turn this game into some sort of emotional thing. Rashford beats everybody and scores, and then they hang on by skin. Make them come out at you. And so I actually, if I were doing it, and I'm not Klopp, I haven't achieved what he's achieved, but I would say, like, sit a little back, be cautious again. I don't think it's a mistake this time around, especially if City drop points at Palace. Think of the luxury, and then you go and you grab the points the other time. I'm going to say 1-1.
2-1 to Liverpool.
And I'm going to say that your idea of you telling Klopp what to do, we're going to bring that in maybe match week 12. every match week 12 we'll have